Alright, so the hook I'm using today is Risen's barbless 9251. Doesn't have to be barbless, but I really like these hooks. We're doing a size 18, and the thread is Vivus 16-aught in black. Now you can tie these in any color you want. Black is pretty common. Looks like a midge pupa, basically. So we start the thread. We want to leave a little space at the head. You don't have to, but find it really helps. Next, I've got silver, small-sized ultra wire. That's what I'm using. Any small-sized wire will work. And then you want to place the wire so it's not over the eye. You want it back just a little bit, about where you started the thread. You want to tie it in right on the side like so. And you're going to make a couple wraps, and then as you wrap down, you want to start pulling this, bending the wire down to follow the hook right along the side here. And this is how I do it. Some people do it right on top. I find this to be the easiest. We're just going to come down all the way, touching wraps as close as you can. As far as you can get into the bend of the hook. You don't want to go too crazy, but all right. And then we're going to come back up. Watch the tip of there. It's going to cut your thread if you pull too hard. And that kind of, there we go. So you want to keep that even. As you can see now, the wire is barely visible. We're going to come back down. Now if you were tying much smaller, you would only want to go up once. We're going to get a little bit of thickness to this, so we're going to do it twice. Now you could taper it. Some people will actually make a taper, but midges don't really need that. They're pretty thin, so you want to keep that relatively thin. So now we're going to start wrapping the wire around the hook like so. You want to do open spiral wraps, but you want to keep these pretty even. Now, as you can see, as I'm getting further up, I'm spacing it out further. That's just what I do. Doesn't mean you have to do it that way, but there we go. You want to keep these pretty even. And then just capture it by wrapping over the wire twice. And then I pull it back, wrap over that way, and then once more over it. All right, and that'll kind of lock it into place, and you can simply helicopter the wire off. And then I've got this UV2 fine and dry dubbing. I'm going to use the black. And this stuff has some really nice like UV stuff in it. It's pretty neat, and I'll show you in a second with a UV light what it looks like. I'm going to just dub this on really fine and compact. You don't want it loose at all. You want to bring it up like so. So that way you're not wrapping too many wraps with the thread. We're just going to build a little head on this with the dubbing. And let's go a little more. It's harder to take some off than it is to put more on, so always go with less, and then you can add more if you need. There we go. All right, so that's a nice compact little head. You don't want it too big. And then we're just simply gonna whip finish. Do a nice 5-turn whip finish. You do 4 or 5, whatever you want. You just want this nice and, you know, solid on there. And to finish this off, I'm gonna use this Solarez Bone Dry. You could use varnish or anything. You don't even have to do anything, but it's always good to secure that whip finish. And this stuff is nice. So you just paint it on, It's really thin. Just make sure you don't get any in the eye of the hook. And then you just cure it with your UV light. Okay? And you can see with the UV light, I mean, it's cured already. But with the, I'm just showing you with the UV light, you can see those little fibers in this UV2 Fine and Dry. But yeah, you can see all those little fibers. I find that it gives a little extra kind of pop, and I find I get more hits when I use this. Now you could use the non-UV2, but any kind of fine, really fine dubbing is what you want, because you want to create a small little head like that. And there we go. That is the finished Black Beauty. They're really simple, really easy to tie, and work wonders for trout when they're targeting small midges. You can tie these super small. In fact, I've tied them down to size 30, which might sound crazy to a lot of you, but I used to fish this a lot on the San Juan River, and the fish there really don't like anything but small flies. And there's some patterns that are really good, but really difficult to tie super small. But this, you can tie really small. It's really simple. And, you know, but even in a larger size like this, it works great. Basically, it's a zebra midge without the bead. So if you haven't already, please hit the like button and subscribe. And also check out my sponsor, McFly. That's not the reason I use their hooks. I really do like them. They're high quality hooks, but they are my sponsor. But they do have some really good hooks for a good price. 25 pieces, and they're, I think these, I mean, for barbless hooks, it's hard to beat for this quality. They're really good hooks, super strong. You can see them pushing pretty good, and it's just, they're strong for such a small hook. And this one particularly, as you can see, there's like a kind of bend out with the point, and I like that because that gives you a little better hook set on the side of the fish. It's going to hook the side of the mouth rather than you know, more chance of it not doing that. And then, you know, especially if fishing small, you're going to be using a 5x tippet, maybe 6x tippet, and you do not want that rubbing against their teeth. So this gives you a little more percentage chance of a better hookup on the side of the mouth. I like that. But any kind of hook will work. But Risen Fly really does make some great stuff. Not just hooks. They make rods and reels and, you know, anything you need to be able to fish with at great prices. I mean, really, their prices are one of the best out there I've ever seen for the quality. So, for instance, they have a $100 rod, and that rod, well, $119, and that rod is one of the best rods I've ever fished. Best off, they're offering all my subscribers a discount for their very first order. So if you type in McFly at checkout, they'll give you 15% off of anything you order with them, which will drop that rod down to about $100. And I mean, you could load up your cart. I mean, just load it up, get a bunch of hooks, get a bunch of, you know, stuff that they sell. The scissors, by the way, didn't even mention that. I'm using these little mitten scissors, and for a small little fly like this, I mean, you can get in really tight because there's such a fine little point. I mean, much finer. If you look at, for instance, let's see. So if you look at, for instance, these razor scissors, and they're considered a fine point, you can see how much thicker that point is. And this allows you to get in much closer than you would with razor scissors. These are Dr. Slick's, good scissors, but these are my favorite. I really like these to be able to tie these small little flies. Allows me to get in there really tight. So definitely check them out. Everything they sell is really good price, and with that discount, you're really never going to find anything better for price and quality. So check them out. Well, I will see you guys on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.